Boro come up against another familiar face this weekend with James Morrison bringing his side to the Riverside. The Baggies have had a brilliant start to the season, winning both of their championship games. And I'm joined by Chris from Albion Analysis to give us the lowdown ahead of the game. Chris, I want to rewind a couple of years following the takeover in 2024. It kind of felt like a bit of a reset / saviour. Corbrand does leave, Mowbray leaves, Ryan Mason, Eric Ramsey, now James Morrison, who is permanently in charge. I think he did a tremendous job at the back end of last season. But, mate, talk me through this entire journey over the last couple of years. Appreciate this could be therapy for you, but bring me up to speed of what it's been like to be a Baggies fan over the last couple of years.
I don't know if we've got long enough, Jonny. It's not so much the therapy that I'm concerned about. It's how long we've got to cover it all. It's been a balmy few years. I think the problem is when a new owner comes in, I think there's a general expectation, unfairly so, that everything will be okay from here. You know what I mean? And it is very much turning round the oil tanker in the Pacific. You know what I mean? It's not. It's a slow process, and we had a couple of really tough years in terms of financially. The first year wasn't as bad. We sold a couple of players. But we brought a few in, and obviously we were I suppose fortunate, but then the other side of it is it's good scouting and everything like that. That somebody like Hegem goes from being a £700,000 player to being a £10 million player in the space of 12 months. We did some decent business. We were also quite a strong squad because there was players that we were never going to be able to get rid of until their contracts ran out. And whilst that was financially weighing us down, in terms of the strength of our squad, it was helping us. Now, what's happened over the last 2 summers is that those contracts have began to come to an end, and we've let a lot of these players go, which is a huge positive for the club because there's varying degrees of thought about people like John Swift, Grady Dean Garner, Carlin Grant, Jed Wallace. I could rattle through the names, blah, 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 blah. And the fans have differing views on them. But I think the one thing that we can say categorically is that financially those contracts were a millstone round our neck, and they were something that we needed to shed. But it's left us with a lot of work to do to replace them. Now, unfortunately, as was proven towards the back end of last season, when we got that ridiculous points deduction with like a game or 2 games to go, 2 games to go, that we were too close to the wire to actually replace a lot of the players that we let go last season, and then we had to do some pretty drastic emergency business because we actually had you say we've had a great start. We had a similar start last year. We won I think 3 of the first 4 games. We actually haven't lost a game in August since 23-24. When we lost, which is a crazy stat. We haven't lost a game in August, and I say that now realizing that you're the last. Well, we have now. We haven't lost a league game. Obviously, we've lost League Cup games, but because we lost a blooming Fleetwood in that time. But last night's was not as embarrassing as that. But yeah, I mean, I know I've just literally predicted a Boro win by saying that on a Boro podcast. By the way. Enjoy your 3 points because I've literally just given them to you with that by saying that stat. But at time of recording, the last time we lost a game in August was the opening day of the 23-24 season at Blackburn. So we've had good starts before. And I actually wrote an article for the BBC Sport website this week, basically saying why should this one be any different, or is it just another false dawn? And I'm very much of the opinion that it is different. What scuppered us last season was we had this great start. We won away at Wrexham. And then basically the few days after that, we sold Darnell Furlong to Ipswich and Tom Fellows to Southampton. and we simply didn't replace them. We didn't bring in a right back to replace Darnell Furlong. We sort of bobbed along all season until Danny Imre came in January with Alfie Gilchrist and George Campbell, both of whom have probably been proved that their best position is centre half. Alfie Gilchrist's best position might be in League One playing for Leyton Orient, but George Campbell is a cracking centre half, but he's not a right back. And we replaced Tom Fellows with a weird mix of bringing in Charlie Taylor as a backup left back and Samuel Illing Jr., who I don't know whether you remember him more fondly than we do, but he was bloody awful for us. He was so bad. He was another false dawn where he scored this wonder goal against Leicester, and you thought, we've got a player here. And that was all she wrote for Samuel Illing Jr. He was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I feel for Bolton Wanderers fans if they've got to watch him all season. But the difference this season is, whilst we let Christian Bielik go last night, there's a feeling that, and I say this touch wood, that what we're not going to see in the remaining days of the window is big departures, is us getting gutted like we got last season. That a Tom Fellows, a Darnell Furlong, probably our equivalent this season would maybe be losing Isaac Price and George Campbell or something like that. I don't foresee that happening. I could be wrong, but I'd be gutted if that happened, because I can't see it. What I think we will do is I think we'll actually improve the squad over the next few days. I think what we've been letting go is players that make a degree of sense to let go. Christian Bielik spent a lot of last season on the treatment table. He's a good player, and he's a big leader, and he's a big personality at this level. But availability is the best ability, and he didn't have enough of it last season. And we've let Alex Mowat go, and whilst that was a bit of a blow, and that's one you will remember because he was good for you. Alex Mowat was in the last year of his deal, and he was over 30. It was an opportunity to get money on a player that was going out of contract. The timing was shocking. Literally, the day before Norwich was an appalling time to sell a player, but the deal itself made sense. And I think that's where we're seeing a bit of a difference. And this is probably where the positivity is coming from Albion fans. Make no bones about it. We are threadbare. I mean, it didn't help. I suppose it does help in the sense that we've got 2 away games in the same area, because we've been able to stay in the northeast. But having a game last night against Premier League opposition, and then having another away game 12:30 on Saturday. By the way, would any Premier League team have to play Wednesday night and then 12:30 on a Saturday? Or do we just not give a stuff about Championship teams? Would be an excellent question. I would suggest. Interesting that they didn't move the game to Tuesday and make Newcastle play on the Sunday and then the Tuesday, because we can't do that to Premier League teams, but we can do it to Championship teams. So I think there's an element of positivity. I think we're trepid because we've been here before. We start well and we fall off a cliff, and we've literally done that in the last sort of 3 seasons. So I think Albion fans are slightly just cautious. But I think under James Morrison, who you quite rightly, you said it at the top, he did an unbelievable job at the back end of last season. He's still doing an unbelievable job. I'm sure we'll come to James Morrison in a minute, but what a job he is doing. It's not this is not some sort of a caretaker manager bounce. This is just good coaching, and there's a huge difference. No disrespect to other people that we've had in that position, but you can attribute certain changes in form when a caretaker comes in to the fact that they're just not the guy who was there before. Sometimes it really is as simple as that. Like that the guy before was so bad and so disliked that anybody stepping into their shoes would be a positive. The reason I say James Morrison isn't that is because he's had to change so much. Like he had a disastrous result in his first game, losing at Oxford, and then like Mikey Johnston, what our top assister, gets injured and has his season ended in that game. He then goes, "Do you know what? Screw this. I'm going back to basics. I'm putting two big units at centre forward. I'm going to make us horrible to play against." We didn't go hoofball, but we went more direct, and we were relying on the wide men. And then Jed Wallace has his season basically ended, and James Morrison goes, "I haven't got any wingers, so I can't do this anymore. So what am I going to do?" Well, now I'm going to find a solution that involves Jason Malumbi out on the right, Isaac Price on the left. I'm going to play Danny Imre and Callum Styles as two flying wing backs with these sort of inverted, almost four central midfielders across the middle of the park. And I'm going to get the service to DK, Maja and Hegebo that way. And then this summer, he hasn't got DK and Maja. So he's got to find another solution. And that solution has been Jimmy J. Morgan, who's completely different and basically likes to play almost like he's like a number 10, but he drifts very much to the left-hand side. So he pops up in the left wing position an awful lot. And he finds a solution there that works for us in the Norwich game after losing Alex Mowat 2 days before. And then the FA see fit to suspend Ona Hegeba, which changes his team again and means he can't play two centre forwards. So he has to find a system that works with one up front and Jimmy J. Morgan as a 9. And we go and batter Burnley. There is no bounce. There is no luck. It's just good coaching. He's just a really, really clever guy. And the team around him as well, Matt Gill, Gavin Strachan, people like this, they're clearly a really top-notch team. They know what they're doing. And it's not luck. It's just smart guys. Isn't it nice? I know you've got no desire to see West Bromwich Albion romp the league or anything, but isn't it nice to see, even if it's only 2 games, coaching succeed over money?
Yeah, 100% it is. Like, I think with what he's implemented, it definitely, obviously, you're absolutely right. It makes it a lot easier. It's harder to play against. The diversification in his coaching is definitely helping West Brom. And also as well, I think there's like quite a nice freshness to West Brom this year. I remember messaging you just before the season started, said, "Hey, how would you feel if I put you 8th?" And then you're like, "We could be anything." And to be honest, I feel like with his coaching, I think the one benefit that he has at the moment, and you could tell me I'm absolutely wrong with this, but I think there is completely no pressure on James Morrison to be successful. And I think when there isn't that much pressure, you're more willing to take a risk on new things. And by doing that, it definitely helps.
I was just going to say, John, externally, I don't think there's a massive amount of expectation. I think a lot of your pundits and stuff. I know the wonderful lads at Not the Top 20 actually had us 8th and had us making the playoffs, but pretty much everybody else I've seen has pretty much had us mid-table or lower. Even I had us in 10th. I don't think there's a huge amount of pressure there. I think in terms of where the fan expectation is, look, you know as well as I do. You do a podcast that focuses on one club the same as I do. You can start the season saying we'd just be happy with a mid-table finish, and then 2 games in we're going to win the lot as far as the fans. It's the fickle nature of fandom. We get overexcited and we always want more. So, in terms of the pressure from the fans, winning games brings pressure because people get a taste of something they like and they want more of it. But in terms of where the real pressure comes from, Jonny, comes from James Morrison, because I had the pleasure of working with Mozza when I worked for the club. So I worked with Mozza the player, I can't speak for Mozza the manager, but I can speak for Mozza the player. That was a driven guy. It was a driven guy. You never should have let go, by the way. It was a
Don't. Yeah, I know.
driven guy who and by the way, this is a guy that when he first came into us, he got played here, he got played there, he got played everywhere. He was left wing, right wing, centre mid. He didn't have a home. He was the utility guy. He was the guy that, you'd got Chris Brunt had to play here, Zoltan Gira had to play here, Jonathan Greening had to play here. And it was kind of like, if one of them was missing, that was like Mozza went in, or Mozza went in the space that was available. And yet he just made himself integral under manager after manager after manager. And that just came from pure, sheer, unadulterated drive and a desire to win. And I always remember I was working at the club, and we won promotion under Roberto Di Matteo, and there was an interview on the pitch. Obviously, all the celebrations are happening. We've just won promotion, and Sky got hold of Mozza, and they said they said to him, "What about the job the manager did?" And he didn't mean this disrespectfully to the manager, but what he said was, "We'd have got this group of players would have got promoted without a manager." And I don't think he didn't mean it disrespectfully to Roberto Di Matteo, but what he was basically saying was the personalities in the group, the drive, the determination in that group was such that whoever was in charge, that standards were never going to drop, that they weren't turning to a manager to say, motivate me, push me, make me run, make me work, make me play. And he was key to that. He was key to that because that's always been his standards have been up there, and he's held other players accountable. We all know about the Saido Berahino incident and stuff like that. But that's just Mozza holding people accountable. That's what he does. And to be honest, when you start thinking about him in that context, there couldn't be a more perfect role for him than management.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I think people overvalue what management is. Like you read a lot of sort of managers' quotes and books and stuff like that, and stuff from like Pep Guardiola, and they massively play down the tactical side of it. They sort of I think there's a quote from Pep Guardiola that said, success in football is 10% the manager, 90% the players, or something like that. And but where managers play, and I think actually that's enormously understating the role of the manager. But I know what he's saying, because players go out on the pitch and they play. Good players at like Man City's level and stuff like that. You don't. I watched the Mourinho documentary. Mourinho was saying, like, Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't need to be told how to put the ball in the back of the net. He doesn't need me to do that. But what players do need is unification, is being brought together under a common goal, and being told, right, these are the levels. You look after each other, because I'm not going to accept anything that drops below this. And that's James Morrison to a T. That is James Morrison to a T. That the standards are set there, and he does not accept anything below that.
And just to add to your point as well around the coach aspect of it, I think it's like the similar thing of a manager creates a system, but sometimes the players, it's just magic, and you've got to try and create that system to make the magic happen. But on top of that as well, you can always teach the hard skills, but you can't teach the soft skills at times. You can't teach someone to be a good person or a bad person when you are managing them, but you can make them a little bit better in certain aspects of it. And it's all around environment. Even in management myself, like a better environment that you have, the most likely the team's going to get a result, or they're going to play at a level which is they probably didn't think they could have achieved that. And I think that you're saying there, it feels like this West Brom team, yes, threadbare, yes, a little bit refreshed, yes, there's still work to do, but it feels like the environment is really strong at the moment, which is definitely helping with the results on the pitch. And then just in terms of the players as well, I know there has been some incomings and outgoings this year. Jimmy J. Morgan, you've mentioned him as well. Is there anyone else that we should keep an eye on come Saturday? Like, is there anyone that was really standing out at all?
Isaac Price has been great. Isaac Price is a great player at this level. He is a really, really good footballer, and I mean, we saw it at points last season where he scored 8 goals, scored a bunch of goal of the season contenders. Loves that little move in off the left curler with the right foot. He's just a really, really good player at this level, and he won't be at this level for very long. I rather prematurely predicted him as Championship Player of the Year at the start of last season. Not young player, but and I've got to be honest, I was sitting bloody smug as he started August like a house on fire.
Yeah.
But I think I stand by that prediction in the sense that it wasn't. And people will say, "Well, you finished 21st." Yeah, well, Leicester got relegated. Jordan James was still Young Player of the Year, but Isaac Price had a difficult year because we changed managers. We have 3 different managers. Yeah. It was difficult for any. And Isaac Price is a bit like James Morrison in this team, in the sense that, as in James Morrison the player, because you could play Isaac Price anywhere. You could play, and he has played. I think I'm right in saying the only positions on the pitch, outfield, that Isaac Price hasn't played for us are centre half and left back. He's played everything else, and he's only been here just over 18 months. The guy could play anywhere, but what I love about Mozza, and maybe Mozza sees a bit of him in Isaac Price, because Mozza's the first manager to come in and Price, he's had 4. He's like I say, he's only been here 18 months. He's had 4. He was signed under Mowbray, then he had Mason, Ramsey, and now Morrison. Jeez, what a mess! But yeah, and everybody else has moved Price around. Has kind of gone, well, actually, Isaac Price is my Swiss Army knife. Like, that whatever I need to do, Isaac Price can do it, and I'll just put him there. And I'm not going to give him a permanent home. Mozza's come in and gone, you're best off the left. Where you play for Northern Ireland, it's where you're going to play for me. And he's put him there. And he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I'd watch out for Ousmane Diakite in the middle of the park. Defensive midfielder destroyer, not the kind of player that would normally catch your eye, but he is. It's got the most interceptions in the Championship. He is just a beast. He puts himself about. He doesn't get knocked off the ball very easily. And there was, I don't know whether you've seen the clip. If not, go onto the Albion Analysis page, because I've used the GIF. It's about our 3rd tweet down or something, where he he tried to block a Kyle Walker clearance at the weekend. Went with his leg. Walker faked to clear it and didn't clear it. Diakite's falling over, and he just does a full Superman dive in front of Walker to try and block the clearance, and then does the sort of like does the sort of martial arts sort of back onto his back and flip jump up onto his legs, and Kyle Walker was just looking at him absolutely disgusted, as if to say, I've got how many England caps, and I've got these kind of antics. I think that was a proper welcome to the Championship moment for Kyle Walker, to be fair.
You know what? I haven't seen that, but I'm gonna 100% after this call. I'm gonna have a look at that, because that's actually hilarious. But look ahead to Saturday. I know I'm conscious of time as well. I know you're very, very busy, Chris. But how are you feeling for Saturday? Have you got a score prediction at all? And I know you are unbeaten. You did say unbeaten in August. I know you said you've just cursed us at the start, but from speaking to you, I think you feel very, very light at the moment, and you're actually enjoying being a West Brom fan again, which I think is probably the most important thing, because I have spoken to you over the last couple of years, and you've just been like, Jonny, what the hell's going on here?
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. You've been there as well, and and I think that's the biggest thing. Mate, my only busyness today is putting a wash on because I'm sitting around in my Seattle Sounders top because it was about the only thing clean knocking about. I was like, oh my god, it's been a mad week at work, and I'm like, I've got to put a wash on is what I've got to do. But don't worry, you're not keeping me from anything that important. As long as I do it. But no, look, you're right. I think as fans, we can scream and shout about tin pots and sort of like lifting silverware and winning games and all that sort of thing. But in the end, surely the most important thing is just going to the games and enjoying yourself. And I didn't enjoy much of last season. Like I remember sitting there when Norwich pumped us 5 and like at the Hawthorns. And I mean, so many people had gone that I'd practically got 2 rows to myself. I was sat in my seat with my legs hanging over the seat in front of me because the people in front of me had left. Just sat back and not even, and this was at maybe 3 or 4-0, and watching the 4th and the 5th go in, and not even really reacting. Not even, just being so numb to it all that it wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I cared. I cared so much that I couldn't even react. You know what I mean? Like when you have those moments where it's almost like you just kind of emotionally shut down, and you're just like, this is so rubbish that I can't even. I don't even know what to do with myself in this moment, and it wasn't just that game. It was getting pumped at Portsmouth and other games. I mean, like even you lot in the opening game against us for Ramsey, like we have this amazing comeback, get us back to 2-2 from 2-0 down after you battered us first half and should have put the game away. And we get it back to 2-2, but there's just this inevitability in the stadium that we're going to give the game away. And we did. And, Bergzog sticks it in the back of the net and you win 3-2. But that was last season in a nutshell. It was like, it just nothing ended well until James Morrison came through the door. Like even when we were in good positions, it was horrible. And now I'm just enjoying watching us again. I actually said to somebody on Twitter just before we logged on, actually, that as great as it was to beat a relegated team on the weekend, the bigger thing was that it was fun to watch. That I genuinely enjoyed the football. That we were exciting and dynamic and fluid, and I saw players expressing themselves, and I haven't seen this for so long. So, I mean, yeah, what happens the weekend happens. You're a really good side, and you've done some really, really good business. And there's an inevitability of Albion that Will Lancashire, who couldn't score, who I thought was actually a decent player for us, but did not score a goal in a West Bromwich Albion shirt, will bag against us. That feels. I mean, he scored for Oxford against us last season. He will score for you against us. So if we're going to win the game, we're going to have to score at least 2 because Will Lancshire's scored before we've even kicked off. I think if we come to Boro and get anything, it's a great result. We've had a really hard start. Norwich away, Burnley at home, Boro away. That is a tough start. If I'd be delighted with like a 1-1 now, because we come out of that with 7 points from those 3 games. That's some start. That really is. But do you know what? Even if we get turned over by Boro, as long as we play all right, as long as we're decent, it's still a decent start. There's still plenty to build upon there. So I think the biggest thing for me is at the moment is the performance. It's seeing that development. It's us not stopping doing the things that we've been doing so well and being fun and fluid and exciting to watch, because as long as we keep doing those things, we're not going to face Middlesbrough every week. We're not going to face Norwich every week, who should have beaten us. We're not going to face a relegated team with parachute payments every single week. There are going to come weeks where, no disrespect to them, but we play the Prestons and the Boltons and the Lincolns, who don't have the same resources as the 3 teams that we've opened the season against. And hopefully, if we keep doing the things that we're doing, then the results will come against those teams. And what happens against the bigger teams happens. We got lucky against Norwich. There's no two ways about that. Norwich should have put us away in that first half, in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes of the second half, but they didn't. And this is an Albion side that will punish you if you don't put us to bed. Burnley, we were just a better side by a mile, not even by a little bit, by a mile. And to be honest, we turn in that level of performance against anyone, and you do well to turn us over. But whether we can do that every single week remains to be seen.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think you're playing us at a really good time as well. I think we're looking to implement new things. It's a bit of a stuttery start. There's a lot of new players that we need to integrate, and we have seen over the last few games that Boro are there on the transition, like the way that we're just set up at the moment. Like the space, really, I think we're doing that whole analogy of you attack the small space and we're defending bigger spaces now, which is I know is the flip of what you should kind of do. But that open space now with people just peeling that striker off, getting themselves with the pitch and then creating the chance. And I do think West Brom will create plenty of chances in this game, to be fair. And they're a team that's really confident, have new ideas, and it wouldn't shock me if you did get a result. And also, if you did, then it's like you said there, Chris, like it's an unbelievable platform and a motivation for you guys to say, well, actually, why can't we kick on for the rest of the season? And then on top of that as well, the teams that you are lesser. Yes, it's a different type of challenge, and some of them might sit in. Lincoln were really good against us, then very, very direct. Well, not direct, long, and balls in the box. And it's just a completely different kettle of fish. But for you guys, I think it's an unbelievable opportunity this weekend. I really, really do. And if you do get a result, then my God, then I think you might start drinking a little bit of Kool-Aid and going, "Hey, it could happen this year,"
Maybe.
Who knows?
I just want to see us come there, and I just hope it's a really, really good game. Obviously, it's it's one that people can watch on Sky Sports and stuff like that. I just hope it's a really good competitive game, because the last couple of times we've come to your place, we just haven't been as competitive as we should have been. We came last season. You obviously scored that goal from the long throw, and to be honest, we were never in the game after that. I know we got it back to 2-1 in injury time, but there wasn't enough time left for us to even pull the game back. And then, like the artist formerly known as Ben Doak, now he's got some gammon. He ripped us apart at your place in Mowbray's first game as manager. So the last couple of times we've come to Boro, it's just you've been so far and away the better team over the course of the 90 minutes that we were never really in it. And I hope that's not. I don't think it will be the case, because I think we're a different animal this time around. But I hope we give you a really good game. I hope it's a good and it's a cracking one for whoever sits down in front of their TV and watches it, because on paper it should be a really, really decent game between a side that's maybe surprised a few and a side that maybe people are a bit surprised haven't got 6 points.
Yeah, I mean, against Blackburn, it wasn't a particularly great performance, but we never win against. I know we did beat last time with Mowbray in charge, but it feels like Mowbray is just a curse for us. And on top of that as well, we never ever beat Blackburn away from home. Even I think it's twice in the last 10 times we've beat them away. But honest to God, it's just a proper bogey team. So it was like that inevitability of just losing that game. But also just in terms of West Brom, I know you saying like the last couple of times you haven't competed, etc. But I vividly remember 2009, the year you got promoted, Danny Coyne getting lobbed from about 40 yards, and you're winning 5-0.
He's on the coaching staff. I don't think he's going to play.
But just saying, it's what I remember West Brom for. I just remember that game and going, well, that's humbling. Everyone was expecting Boro to get promoted that year under Southgate, and it just went terribly wrong, and that's where our demise kind of started, really, for a good period of time. But Chris, give me a score prediction.
Was in that team as well.
Yeah. To be fair, I really do love James Morrison. I agree with you that we should have never have sold him to West Brom. He scored our first goal away from home in Europe. We won 1-0 against Banik Ostrava. And he
Left
was
one
just
on
a
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, left one Cristiano Ronaldo, which is vividly remembered across Teesside. And he was a player where I think he just unfortunately just got lost in a bit of a shuffle, because we were just bringing in all these players and we kind of just got rid of him. And I always kind of feel bad about that because I don't think we should have. But I think he's a legend now at West Brom, and whatever he does in this role, I think he's always going to be fondly remembered, regardless. I mean, if he gets you promoted, God, give that bloke a statue.
Oh yeah,
You know?
100%. And no, he's a legend. I mean, look, it's over 20 years since he walked through the door. Like it's incredible, and he's been a part of the club. Like it's not like he's not taken any time away. Like he retired. He went in with the youth scouting, youth coaching, and has worked his way up, and now he's first team manager. It's an amazing story, and I mean, you don't get enough clubmen these days. You just don't. It doesn't happen really anymore. You know, players don't stay in one place that long, and do players necessarily really feel that much connection to a lot of the clubs that they play for? Only they would know that, but it doesn't feel like it from a fan point of view. James Morrison is a club man. He's and I know he was your product, but he bleeds blue and white these days, and I think that much is clear.
Final question: score prediction. Go on, give me one.
I'll chuck a 1-1 because I would not be unhappy with that. But I mean, honestly, Jonny, it could be anything. If you get at us the way Norwich got at us in that first half, I think your finishers are better than Norwich's are, and I think you'd probably put us away. If you let us come and play like Burnley did. And I was shocked at how Burnley sat off us. I really was. Burnley played like the minnows. They played like they wanted to play on the break. Play like that against us, invite us on. Could be anything. So I think a lot of it depends on how Boro want to play it. But yeah, I hope we're a bit more defensively solid against you than we were against Norwich. Even if I don't think you'll do what Burnley did. I think you'll come to play.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're just a side that likes to dominate in and out of possession, really. So yeah, I'm very intrigued. But like I said to you a few minutes ago, like we are there to be got this year. We're still working it out a little bit, and it's a great time to play us. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming on, mate. I really, really enjoyed that. Really good to get up to speed with West Brom this year, and obviously speaking to you again on our podcast is always a pleasure. Where can people find you?
Just Albion Analysis wherever you get your podcasts. As I say, we are on X if you want to go and have a look at it. Just check us out on X just to have a look at the Usman Diakite gift. To be honest with you, even if you just move on swiftly from that. But and if people want to follow me on X for whatever reason at CJ Hall 83.
Perfect. Thank you so much, mate. I really do appreciate that. For the listeners and the viewers, don't forget to subscribe to the Boro Breakdown podcast and Albion Analysis as well. Find out a little bit more around West Brom this season, but don't forget to hype this video as well. Help us get found, charred, and all that kind of fun stuff. But for right now, this has been the Boro Breakdown podcast, and that was all your West Brom chatter in the pod of the Boro.